Hello and welcome back, YouTubers. I wanted to spend a little time talking to you guys today about the new rumored Microsoft Xbox 720 and Sony PlayStation 4. There have been a lot of rumors floating around the web in the beginning of 2013 due to the fact of these two consoles later on in this year. To start off, let's talk about the PlayStation 4, or codenamed Orbis and/or Thebes. Inside the device, we're supposed to have an AMD 3.2 GHz APU solution with 4 cores, 2 cores that pair up with each other. These 4 cores will have a higher clock than that of the Xbox 720. There's a possibility of an AMD 8000 series GPU solution inside this console. A customized solution could possibly utilize GPU and APU combinations. The PS4 is rumored to have a 2 to 4 GB GDDR5 RAM inside of it, and the launch date is speculated for fall 2013 and possibly early 2014. So let me give you a little bit of an explanation on how this PlayStation 4 is supposed to work out. The PlayStation 4 has a higher clock, but less cores, and is using an APU solution, which could be the CPU and GPU elements combined onto one single chip. And the PlayStation 4 has less RAM, but is using faster GDDR RAM, so the overall performance should be a wash when comparing it to the 720. The Xbox 720, codenamed Durango and/or Kryptos, is supposed to have an AMD 1.6 GHz 8-core processor. Now these cores have been speculated to target different areas. One core speculating to be dedicated for OS tasks, which would be really good when coming to multitasking and having a Windows 8 user interface. And some people believe that another core will be specifically designed for the Xbox Kinect. Also inside the Xbox 720 is an AMD 8000 series GPU chip. On the GPU chip, speculators are saying how there's going to be an unknown amount of ESRAM. There's going to be 8 GB of DDR3 RAM, which will have 1.5 GB of RAM that will be reserved for the operating system. We're hoping that the Xbox 720, codenamed Durango, is going to be launched sometime within 2013. So let me sum up what I just told you about the Xbox 723 like I did for the PlayStation 4. The 720 has a lower clock, but has more cores. The 720 has more, but slower RAM. The DDR3 RAM is usually good for things like multitasking, and it is expected to be based on a Windows 8 platform as well. This is just one thing that you might want to note. The GDDR RAM is more suitable for graphics processing in the PlayStation 4, and the DDR3 is more suitable for OS tasks in the Xbox 720. It is expected that the Xbox 720 may need some sort of ES or EDRAM to compensate. Basically, you probably guys shouldn't get caught up in the RAM size, but the RAM type. However, I think that either way, it's going to be a wash for both consoles. Now, let's move on to when people are speculating that the Xbox 720 and the PS4 will be revealed. Speculators are saying that the Xbox 720 and the PlayStation 4 are going to be announced around 2013's Game Developers Conference this upcoming March. Both Sony and Microsoft could be gearing up to hold these huge Apple-style press conferences in San Francisco between March 25th and March 29th during GDC. Both Sony and Microsoft are targeting these special Apple-style press conferences to unveil their new platforms because they feel like by going to E3 in June, which may be the gaming industry's biggest event, both companies will lose spotlight. So, what Sony and Microsoft are doing are going to announce their devices hopefully before E3 in June. That way they give their own devices their own spotlight and limelight. However, this doesn't mean that E3 is going to be without any surprises. What we'll most likely see during E3 in June are next generation games that will be announced at the E3 convention in preparation for the system's release at the end of the 2013 year. What speculators are also hearing is that Sony in particular is determined not to come out last this time, like the PlayStation 3 did this generation. So we'll just have to see how soon Sony can push the PlayStation 4 out the door, and whether Microsoft is going to be motivated to prevent this from happening or not. Another question I know that you guys have on your mind is, what in the heck is the price going to be? Well, speculators probably won't really know until the announcement is made, but the kind of price range is kind of like what Microsoft did to achieve its 20 gigabyte Xbox 360, which launched at $399 in 2005. So we're going to see a price range somewhere between $350 and $400. However, the PS3 hit stores a year later after the 2005 launch of the Xbox 360, and it was priced at $499 and $599, which is, $100, $200 higher than the Xbox 360. So we'll just have to wait and see on that. Another thing that I think you guys might be contemplating right now is whether or not you should sell or trade in the devices you have now in preparation for the next generation devices that are going to come out later this year. Let me just tell you one thing. Both devices are going to be undoubtedly worth an upgrade over its predecessor. The Xbox in particular has a major, monumental increase in RAM and memory, which is going to make the device just so much faster and so much cleaner. Another thing that you guys might want to keep in mind when upgrading to the newest devices is whether or not you're in the market for a new Blu-ray player, considering both devices are going to have a Blu-ray drive. So what we're looking at in an overall perspective are two devices that are in desperate need of a refresh, considering the fact that they've both been out for a couple years each. I think that for new consumers, that these devices are going to look and feel absolutely fascinating with the upgrades to the processing chips and the massive amount of RAM that these two devices are going to have in order to run dedicated tasks. So now all you have to do is just sit back and wait for the announcements and spend time contemplating, like the rest of us, whether or not you should trade in your old devices or keep your old devices in order and in preparation for the new next generation consoles. So I hope you guys have been enlightened and know a little bit more about the rumored Microsoft Xbox 720 and Sony PlayStation 4 than you did a couple minutes ago. And I'll make sure to keep you guys updated if there's any new rumors or speculations about these two devices. And if not, I'll see you guys back here in a couple weeks to talk to you about what ended up happening at these two announcements. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you back here in a little bit. Thanks for watching my videos, guys. If you have any comments, feel free to leave those below. If not, just go ahead and rate and subscribe. And I plan on keeping you guys up to date with the latest technology news once or twice a week, just depending on how my schedule goes. I leave you guys with one last bonus clip.
Come on, Zoe, that's a good girl. Come on, Zoe. Come on, girl.